If you are listening to this right now, there is something that needs to be understood before anything else. This is not ordinary content, and this is not an ordinary moment. The quantum field does not deliver certain information randomly, nor to just any consciousness, nor at any point in time. It operates through alignment, and when everything aligns, the information appears. This is one of those moments. The simple fact that this video reached you, that you clicked on it, that you are hearing these words exactly now, is not coincidence, not luck, and not the algorithm. It is choice. A choice that did not happen only now, but has been prepared for a long time, even when you were not aware of it. This type of message cannot truly be received twice, not because it will disappear, but because the internal state from which you receive it will never be exactly the same again. Tomorrow you will already be someone else. In a week too. But now, in this instant, you are exactly at the frequency required for this to make sense, and I need you to maintain that frequency. Perhaps there is a strange feeling of recognition, as if something inside you knew it needed to arrive here, as if this meeting were not a surprise, but a confirmation. This is not imagination. It is perception. The quantum field organized the moment, the state you are in, and even the fact that you have time to be here now. You are not simply watching a video. You are receiving a transmission that only makes sense at this exact point in your trajectory. And what you are about to hear was not made just to be understood. It was made to reorganize the way you perceive your place within reality. So stay. This moment does not repeat itself. The sooner you recognize this, the more sense everything you have been living will begin to make. The quantum field does not function like an open broadcast sent to everyone at the same time. It operates like a precision system. Information arrives only when consciousness reaches the exact level of openness required to receive it. And that level does not arise out of nowhere. It is built. What is happening now is not content consumption. It is an encounter. Something found you at the moment you were ready to be found. This kind of message does not appear when it is sought. It appears when your internal openness coincides with what can be received. That is why now. Not before, not after. Now. Perhaps a part of you already knew this. That feeling of arriving at exactly the right point. Of hearing something that, at another moment in your life, would not have made the same sense. This is not suggestion. It is recognition. Your consciousness is tuned, like a radio station that, for a brief instant, enters perfect alignment. This tuning does not last forever. Tomorrow will be different. That is why this moment is unique. Most people go through experiences like this without noticing. They see the video, hear the words, but do not receive the message. For them, it is just another interesting idea, another theory. But if you are here and something resonates deeply, it is because you are not listening only with the mind. There is something more involved. And before continuing, there is something you need to know. The quantum field did not bring you here to entertain you, nor to inspire you for a few minutes. It brought you because something is ready to be activated. Something that has been prepared for a long time, through experiences that, at the time, did not seem to make complete sense. Every situation you lived, including those that seemed like mistakes, losses, or detours, was part of this adjustment. Nothing was out of place. Everything was refining your perception for this specific point, and what comes next can only fit if it is received now, with the level of consciousness you have today. So before moving forward, make an internal pause. Do not continue as if this were just another video. Remain present. What comes next is not information to be analyzed. It is something to be recognized. And that recognition begins when you accept a simple and powerful truth. You did not arrive here by accident. From now on, begin to look at your own life from another point. Nothing that brought you here was loose, random, or isolated. The quantum field does not improvise. It organizes, adjusts, prepares. And if you are receiving this message, it is because a silent preparation has been happening for a long time, even when you did not notice. The quantum field does not send signals at random. It only transmits when consciousness reaches a specific point of receptivity, and that point is not reached all at once. It is built over time, often through paths that do not seem spiritual, elevated, or special. Most of the time, this preparation happens through ordinary experiences, confusing and hard to explain. Moments when you felt displaced, out of place. If what I'm saying makes sense to you, and you feel ready to deepen this experience, I've left a more complete material in the pinned comment. You don't need to look at it now. Just remember it when the time feels right. As if something no longer fit, even without knowing exactly what. It was not drama, nor a crisis without reason. It was adjustment. Perhaps you went through phases when nothing seemed to make complete sense. Paths that once felt secure began to lose strength. Conversations became empty. Concerns that mobilized everyone around you no longer carried the same weight for you. Not because you were above something, but because your perception was changing. When consciousness begins to open, the world stops being silent. It begins to respond. And that response rarely comes in obvious ways. It appears as coincidences that are hard to ignore. Not simple chance, but situations so precise they seem organized behind the scenes. Thinking of something and it appears. Needing an answer and hearing exactly the right phrase. Repeating numbers, unexpected encounters, messages arriving at the exact moment. This was not decoration or fantasy. It was training. The field tuning your attention, teaching you to perceive when something is not random. Before receiving a deeper transmission, consciousness needs to learn to recognize patterns. It needs to leave the noise. Most people live immersed in stimuli, distractions, external narratives. Everything seems the same, flat, disconnected. But when perception begins to awaken, reality changes texture. It begins to dialogue. Perhaps you also felt a strange urgency, not anxiety, not fear, but an internal sensation difficult to explain, as if something needed to be understood, as if it were no longer possible to keep living the same way. It was not a rational question. It was something more visceral, a silent certainty that you were approaching a threshold. That sensation does not come from the mind. It comes from the field recognizing itself through you. When this begins to happen, life tends to accelerate. Changes that once would take years begin to happen in months or weeks. Relationships that seemed solid transform or simply stop making sense. Paths you considered certain stop resonating. And this does not happen because something went wrong. It happens because the frequency you begin to sustain is no longer compatible with certain old structures. The field does not destroy out of cruelty. It reorganizes out of coherence. Here, there is a fundamental point that many people do not understand. When the field begins to prepare someone, it does not do so by making life more comfortable. It does so by making that person more capable. Every challenge you went through was not punishment, nor an arbitrary test. It was training. Training to sustain uncertainty. Training to let go of control. Training to trust even without a map. Look back for a moment. If someone had spoken to you years ago about active consciousness, about reality responding to internal state, would you have been able to hear it in the same way? Probably not. Not because of lack of intelligence, but because of lack of experience. The field needed you to accumulate evidence, not beliefs. That is why there were moments when everything worked out inexplicably. Situations that resolved in your favor without apparent logic. Encounters that changed your direction. Opportunities that appeared when they seemed impossible. This was not luck. It was the field gradually showing you that reality is not rigid. At the same time, there were ruptures, phases of isolation, a feeling of disconnection from what once seemed important, conversations that no longer nourished, environments that began to feel draining. This was not arrogance nor rejection of the world. It was the noise diminishing. The field needed internal silence so that something more subtle could be heard. The feeling of being slightly outside the collective narrative, of not fully fitting into what seemed normal, was not a mistake. It was extraction. Like taking a radio out of an environment full of interference to tune into a specific frequency. You were not being pushed away as punishment. You were being tuned. Perhaps shortly before arriving at this video, you felt something approaching, a strange certainty, without defined form, as if something were about to be revealed. There were no words for it, but there was presence. That perception was not imagination. It was consciousness anticipating a meeting point. This moment was already part of the path. The field knew you would arrive here, and it knew exactly what you needed to live before being able to receive this now. If a single experience had been missing, this message would not have arrived, or it would have arrived, but would not have been understood. And here is something essential. Not everyone who comes into contact with this content is receiving the same thing. Many will hear only with the mind. They will find it interesting, deep, curious, and move on. But if something inside you feels that this is not just information, it is because you are not observing from the outside. You are participating. Pay attention to your body as you listen, not to the words, but to what happens internally. Perhaps a light pressure in the chest, a subtle warmth, a feeling of expansion or deep stillness. This is not suggestion. It is resonance. The field does not communicate only through ideas. It communicates through states. And this communication has already begun. If you notice carefully, something has already changed since the beginning. Not necessarily in rational understanding, but in the way you are present. Attention is more stable. The noise has diminished. It is as if something is listening through you instead of you merely listening from the outside. This happens because there is no real separation between you and the field. There never was. What existed was a functional illusion necessary for the human experience. The sensation of being a separate self, observing an external world. But when the time comes to remember, that separation begins to loosen. This video is not the source of what you are receiving. It is only the vehicle. The field does not need screens to communicate, but it uses them when that is efficient. What is happening now does not come from outside to inside. It arises from the same place from which your own consciousness arises. That is why, after this, you may notice that certain things become clear without you knowing how to explain it. It is not that you understand everything. It is that you stop needing to understand. This is a fundamental difference. The mind seeks explanations. The field operates through recognition. When something is true at this level, it does not need arguments. It does not need proof. It imposes itself as internal evidence, silent but undeniable. This is what is being activated now. A fine adjustment of your perception to sustain a different way of relating to reality. No longer as a passive observer, no longer as someone separate, but as a conscious participant. This activation is not abrupt, not dramatic. It is gentle, almost imperceptible, but deep. Your system is recalibrating to operate from coherence, not fragmentation. When this happens, reality responds with less friction. Perhaps from now on you will begin to notice that life responds faster. Thoughts gain echo. Internal decisions, even unspoken, begin to move the environment. Conversations align, situations reorganize. This is not magic, it is coherence. When the internal state stops being divided, the field stops offering resistance. It flows. Most people try to change reality through action, effort, control. But the field does not respond to what you do. It responds to what you are while you do it. That is why, before arriving here, you needed to go through periods that seemed like stagnation, moments when nothing advanced externally. But it was not delay, it was integration. To integrate is to stop fighting your own history. It is to stop seeing the past as error and begin to see it as calibration. Every experience adjusted your frequency, including and especially the ones that hurt. The field does not open in the face of comfort. It opens in the face of internal honesty. When you stop resisting what was, the energy that was trapped in conflict is released. And that energy becomes available to create. Not to create fantasies, but to create aligned reality. Coherent, sustainable. Perhaps you will also begin to notice that certain intentions manifest with almost unsettling precision. Not big idealized dreams, but simple and exact things. A necessary meeting, an unexpected email, an answer that arrives without effort. This is the field confirming the tuning. And here it is important to understand something that completely changes the way of living. The quantum field neither rewards nor punishes. It does not judge. It reflects. It returns, amplified, the state you sustain consistently. That is why repeating words is useless if inside there is contradiction. The field does not listen to discourse. It listens to coherence. When you begin to live from this coherence, something calms down. Anxiety diminishes, not because everything is resolved, but because you stop fighting the flow. At a deep level, you know that what is yours finds you, and what is not moves away effortlessly. With this comes a different responsibility. Not guilt, not weight, awareness. Understanding that your internal state matters. That you are not a victim of context, but also not an absolute controller. You are a point of interaction, a conscious node within a living system. This understanding changes your relationship with time. You stop rushing. You stop feeling late. Because you realize that the field does not operate on human schedules. It operates on synchronization. When something does not happen, it is not refusal. It is preparation. If you look back, you will see that everything that arrived before its time fell apart. And everything that arrived when you were ready remained. This was not chance. It was law. The same law that is active now. From here on, something changes in the way you position yourself before life. Not because everything becomes easy, but because you stop constantly seeking signs. The field has already revealed itself. Now, the next movement depends on how you sustain this state. The challenge stops being consuming more messages and becomes maintaining coherence, sustaining the frequency in daily life, caring for your own field through the choices you make, what you feed mentally, the conversations you maintain, the environments you frequent, not out of fear, but out of alignment. When the field reveals itself, it does not insist. It shows and observes, not to judge, but because creation is a shared process. Reality responds continuously to the state you sustain. That is why, after this recognition, silence often arises. Fewer explicit signs, fewer stimuli. This is not abandonment, it is maturity. The field trusts integration. This integration appears in the details of everyday life, in how you react when something does not go as expected, how you deal with frustration, waiting, and decision. That is where the state proves itself real. You may notice changes in relationships. Some people move away without conflict. Others approach naturally. It is not rejection nor conquest. It is resonance. When frequencies no longer coincide, there is distance. When they do coincide, there is closeness. This is energetic maturity. Stopping forcing bonds and releasing what has already completed its cycle. The field expands when you free space. You also realize that you do not need to convince anyone. The field does not transmit through discourse, but through presence, through the way you act, look, and respond. Those who are ready recognize. Those who are not follow another path. This moment is not an end. It is an inflection point. Something has been reorganized internally. From here on, the way you observe reality changes, and that changes everything. Not because the external world transforms instantly, but because you respond from a different place. And when the reaction changes, the field's response changes with it. The field has already spoken. Now, the next step comes from you, from the way you choose to inhabit your experience, from the coherence between what you perceive and what you live. When this happens, nothing is lived the same way again. After everything that has been said, one thing needs to be clear. This was not just content. It was a point of recognition. Something that was already latent found the right form to become conscious. From here on, it becomes difficult to continue looking at your own life as a sequence of random events. What you lived begins to make sense as a process of preparation. Experiences that, one by one, adjusted your perception up to this moment. This does not mean everything will become easy. The field does not respond with comfort. It responds with coherence. And coherence requires responsibility for the state you sustain in daily life, especially when no one is watching. The real adjustment happens when you stop dividing yourself internally, when you stop living between wanting, doubting, and resisting at the same time. At that point, reality responds with less friction, not because you force results, but because you stop generating interference. The question stops being, what is going to happen to me? And becomes, from where am I living? What happens? This shift is subtle, but definitive. Some choices become obvious. Certain environments lose meaning. Some urgencies disappear. It is not withdrawal from the world. It is alignment. You do not need to convince anyone. The field responds to states, not to speeches. Presence communicates more than any explanation. And perhaps the greatest sign of integration is this: less anxiety for answers and more stability in the present. Not certainty about the future, but a silent trust in the now. The field has already aligned this meeting. From now on, the movement is yours. Not to seek something outside, but to live coherently with what has already been recognized. Reality does not respond to what you expect. It responds to what you sustain. And when that changes, everything changes with it. I made a video that explains this fact about the quantum field in more depth, and the best part: how to keep your vibration high and how to deal with it in everyday life. Many things happen in our daily routine that end up lowering our frequency, and you need to know how to return to the ideal frequency quickly and effectively. The video is appearing on your screen now. If this message truly resonated with you, if you felt that quiet inner shift, that sense that your mind is ready for something greater, I left a resource in the pinned comment that goes deeper into this process. I only recommend it for those who feel genuinely ready to accelerate their results, but follow it in your own time. If it calls to you, you'll find it there.